So I go in the backyard and I see this kid, and he must have been 17 years old. And I'm like telling myself, this kid's not even going to pay me, I bet. But I like the kid. So she looked at the plans and she grabbed the other guy's plans, crushed them up like this, and throws them and goes, that's garbage. She'd go out in the middle of the night with her hammer and smash up the brand new concrete on the mantle for the fireplace.
So we're having Jesse with Calimingo Pools on today, and I'm going to read his bio. His bio reads, "Hi, I'm Jesse Escalara, founder and CEO of Calimingo Pools. You may also recognize me from the last 12 years I was on HDTV, but that just barely scratches the surface of who I am and what I stand for. I came to the pool industry as an outsider, and so I do things differently, but there is much more to tell you. In order for you to understand how Calimingo Pools is different, first you need to understand how the rest of the pool industry operates. This is a little story about how the pool industry has been operating since 1950s until now, and that is the bio that he has on his website. If you want to read the whole story, you can go check it out, or you can listen to this podcast. I think you should do the last one."
Welcome to Luxury Outdoor Living Podcast with Mike
And Trey Farley
of Farley Pool Designs. For over 40 years, we've helped homeowners turn their backyards into personal retreats. And that's why after decades of designing and teaching in this industry, we're here to share our knowledge, helping you navigate the process with confidence.
Every week we break down design, trends, and insider tips that turn your vision into reality. We'd love to have you along for the ride.
Let's build your paradise together. So, Jesse, this is Mike Farley from Farley Pool Designs, and we're here with Luxury Outdoor Living Podcast today, and just wanted to thank you for being on. And we just read your bio, so is there something you could tell us that's interesting that wasn't in your bio?
Well, I don't have a history in the pool industry.
Right.
As far as my beginnings, I started out as a handyman, so I was just doing whatever anybody asked me to do. So my first job was a broken window, and like I had a doorknob that needed to be fixed, and there was like a spatula stuck in a drawer. I didn't pull that out. So
this came from your penny saver ad, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So
yeah. So you saw recently they made a post. I saw that they interviewed me a few weeks ago, and then they just posted it. But that was that. Yeah, that was from the penny saver. So I just never said no to anything. And eventually somebody asked me to do, I don't know, like fix my sprinklers, and then, do these bricks for me and do this turf. And then eventually somebody asked me to build them a pool, and then the rest is history, I suppose. But
well, one of the things, because I was listening to some of your stuff in the past, and you said that, they loved your design and they really wanted you to do the pool. So how did you happen to create the design? Where did the training or background or the inspiration or come from when you were first doing design work?
Yeah, I've always been an artist my whole life, and my family is artists. And so that just came naturally to me. When I started the business, it was just out of necessity, like as I mentioned, and it was just, not saying no to anything. And eventually, when I started doing more landscaping, then I had all these ideas. So eventually I started drawing the ideas and showing my designs to the clients. I would do everything with a pencil on a piece of paper. And then eventually that was like a bigger piece of paper, and then like a big IKEA glass table with a lamp under it. And that was my drafting table. And that's kind of how I got started with the design work. It wasn't pools. It was just landscaping, hardscape, patio covers, and,
So were you doing scale drawings? I mean, how did you learn to do that? Or were
at
you
first
just
it was
doing
just kind of sketches. Yeah.
Okay.
And then eventually it was drafting to scale. Yeah, for sure. I mean, I was drafting my permit sets by hand.
Right. Well, I understand that because I'm an old guy and I still draw by hand. So that's where I came from. But.
So for timeline, when was this when you're first designing and getting into the industry, making your own designs? How long ago was that, do you think?
All right. So then I'll just kind of give you the elevator pitch of kind of my how I got started in a business, and then what, we'll go from there.
Okay.
So so I started working when I was 12, and then I dropped out of school when I was 14. And because I had to work because my dad was sick, and then my little brother was a couple years younger than me, so he's too young. So then I started my little handyman business when I was 19. I did work some odd jobs here and there before that, but nothing really in construction. So I really didn't know how to do anything. But I know my buddy was a helper for this contractor or somebody. So then he said, go look in the penny saver and hit up the contractors in there. So I did, and nobody wanted to hire me. And then I just started getting desperate and calling the handymen in there and said, let me work for you. So then these guys are usually unlicensed, and they're usually, to be honest with you, like drug addicts. They're trying to get some money for their drugs, and because they're unlicensed. And a few of them would say, you have to tell me if you're a cop, because I guess it's illegal that they're doing this, So then I called this one guy, and he's like, how did you find my number? I don't have an ad out. And I'm like, listen, I'm not a cop. And he goes, no. He goes, it's not that. It's just you're so resourceful. He goes, you should be doing this. And he's telling me the ropes. Here's how you got to get some tools. Here's the tools you're going to need. Here's how you sell the job. Here's what you should be charging and stuff. And I'm like, well, listen, because if you like me so much, why don't you hire me? And he goes, listen, kid, you should be my boss someday. He goes, I can tell you're smart. This is what he's saying to me, right? So he kind of got me pumped up to do it. And I called a few more guys, and they told me to go to hell. And then I'm sitting there thinking about this guy for a while, and I'm doing the math, and I had like a couple $100 left in my wallet. And I was paying a guy to crash on his couch, like $200 a month. And I said, man, if I spend this money, Josh will have me kicked out on the street like that. And right when I was thinking that, I saw this guy, Mark, come walking in the door. Cause I used to pay this guy that multiple people would pay this guy, Sean, to crash around the house or whatever. I was kind of destitute back then. I was living in Stanton, California. And that's another story for another day. But right when I was thinking that, like, if I spend this money, I'll wind up back in the street. This guy, Mark, comes walking in the door, falls flat on his face right in front of me. And then that made my decision easy. I said, I could either sit here with Mark, or I could shoot my shot and then spend this $200 and see what happens. So I did. I put $30 out in the penny saver. And then I put, I spent another, whatever, the rest of the money on some tools. And that's how I started doing the handyman work. I had my buddy's mom, I didn't have a car either. So my buddy's mom had a minivan that she didn't drive. And I thought it was broken down. And I said, hey, can I see if I can work on that broken down minivan and get it to go? And I'll pay you, $50 a week or something to rent it from you. And she said, well, it runs. I'm just too scared to drive it. So just go take it. Yeah. So I took. So she was a maid, and she didn't speak English. And she just bought the minivan and just never used it. It sat there it was covered in dust. So I started it. It ran. I put new fuel in it, and then I would have to put water in it every couple miles in the radiator because it leaked. But it started me off. It got me going. Yeah. And then my first job was the job I mentioned. I went and worked on this guy's house, and he was this big, giant, fat gay guy that was hitting on me the whole time. But he was really funny, and I'd never forget the guy. He was hilarious, super nice guy. And he was just floating around the pool all day. Hey boys, can you fix this? Can you fix that? He had a down south sort of accent, like he was from down south. But anyhow, so that was my first job. And then from there, it just, eventually I needed help, and I got my buddy to help me. And that's how I kind of started the business.
So you were doing landscaping, and you were doing drawings. And so the guy that wanted a pool, you sketched something out and he liked it. So would you say your designs were conventional pool designs, or do you look at things at a kind of a different perspective because you didn't start in the pool industry? You were just, an artist.
Right. Yeah, that's a great question. So I had no idea the way the pool industry ran or what the right thing to do was. So, yeah, I mean, eventually, somebody asked me to build a pool, and I actually, the first pool I did, okay, His name was Dan. And Dan, I had been doing his whole backyard. He loved everything I was doing. His house kind of looked like a hobbit lived there, you know? So it was a multi-million dollar home in Huntington Harbor. And he just loved what I was doing. So then, and I was drawing everything by hand. And so then he said, do my pool. I said, listen, I don't even have a license, let alone a pool license at all. So he begged me for months to do his pool. And I finally caved. He said, you can do it. Okay, fine. I'll do the dang pool. So here I am doing the pool. So here's the way the pool worked out. So that we didn't know how to do a pool. So what we did was we dug it up. And then when we did the dig, we overbuilt everything. We overdid it because we didn't know what we were doing.
Right.
So then the cut was perfectly shaped like the pool was going to be. And then we put in the rebar, and then we overdid the rebar. And then we put in, so then when we go to do the shotcrete, I called my concrete guy and I said, hey, I need to, do the shell for this pool. He goes, oh yeah, no big deal. He goes, you rent the compressor and I'll bring the pipe and the jet, the tip. And I said, oh, okay. I didn't know. So I'm like, okay, great.
Yeah.
Wonderful. So then he shows up the next day with this stuff. I rent the compressor, and we bought some trowels at Roseboro that were like coved trowels, So, because we thought that's the way, you look inside of the pool and the pool looks like this and like that, that's what we thought. So like all the edges are bulldozed. So we thought that's the way, the pool needed to be shotcreted. So then we bought these like specialized like trowels, like acrylic trowels. And we did the shotcrete in the pool. And the seat in the pool, instead of doing like just like a bench seat, we did like a recliner seat with like a pitch, with like an ergonomic pitch on it.
Right.
It was like a lounger, the way we built the seats in the pool, like the whole bench and everything. It was a spool. It was like a spa, like a large spa or small pool, I guess you would call it. Like maybe 12 or 15 feet long by 10 feet wide or something. Like that.
Today's trend. You were a trendsetter there.
Yeah, the spool. Yeah, so we did a spool. So then, and I did it shallow because like I overthink things. I overdid the thing. So I did it really shallow so you could kind of lay in it. Your feet would kind of be up a little bit. And so that it would heat up quickly because it was so big. I didn't want it to take a long time to get hot. So I perseverated about all these details. I've kind of always been that way. So when the plaster guy showed up, because I go, hey, Ron, like, we got the shotcrete done. Now, what do we do about the plaster? He goes, oh, well, you don't do that. Cause I thought we do that ourselves too. He goes, no, you don't do that. You need a plaster guy for that. Okay, great. So then he recommended this guy, Jose. And then Jose come over and he just told this story the other day in front of me to his kid. His son's like 27, I think now. But this one, his son was a baby when we met. And Jose comes in the backyard and he's telling the story to his son and he goes, so I go in the backyard and I see this kid and he must have been 17 years old. And I'm like telling myself, this kid's not even going to pay me, I bet. But I like the kid. So I went and I did the job anyway. So when Jose showed up, he's talking about me. When he showed up and met me, he like kind of yelped out loud, like, oh my God. And we messed something up. And I was, what did we do? And he goes, well, you didn't do anything wrong. It's just you overbuilt this thing. You don't even need me anymore because we did the shotcrete and it was perfect. And the shotcrete's supposed to be this kind of rough thing, So he's laughing at us. He's like, you don't even need me anymore. This thing's too good. He goes, well, you didn't need to do that, but it's fine. You didn't screw it up. So anyway, he plasters the pool and it all turned out great. Like even all my plumbing was oversized pipe. Like I think even back then I did like 2.5-inch pipe. And then I heat molded all the pipe. So all of the pipe was torched and like heat molded instead of using elbows. Right. Because in my mind, I think that like a joint, like an elbow, because I go to the store and I'm seeing these 90s and I wanted to create sweeps because I thought that would impede the flow.
Well, there you go. Trend setting again. So this was 27 years ago? Yeah,
because I'm 47 now. So yeah.
Awesome.
About that, yeah. That was my first pool, and I kind of overbuilt everything. It's probably the best pool I ever built. Yeah.
That's incredible. So how did you get from, building your first pool to realizing, okay, this isn't just like a thing I can do, I'm good at this?
So there's a couple things that happened. So I guess The biggest deal was when I met Diane and Joe. Joe calls me and somebody recommended me. And I go to meet Joe, the husband, and he was kind of gruff, like very no nonsense kind of businessman. And so I meet with him and talk with him, I don't know, maybe 15 minutes and go through his project. And then he just, dismissed me. I left. And I was like, man, I guess I must have screwed that up. I don't think he likes me.
Right.
I didn't think he liked me at all. And this is like a high-end home. Probably, I think back then it was probably a $4 million house in Huntington Harbor. So I felt like it was a lost opportunity. 2 weeks later, his wife calls me, Diane, and she's totally the opposite. So she's all, oh my God, Jesse, I'm so excited to meet you. When can you come over here? My husband says you're a genius, and I can't wait to meet you. So I'm like, oh, I didn't think the guy liked me. So anyway, I go to meet her.
Those engineer types, they're always like that, right?
Yeah.
Good poker face.
So I go over to meet her, and she shows me these plans, and she's like, well, look at these plans. And she's very proud of them, and she paid for them. She paid $20,000 for them. No. And this is a long time ago.
Right.
So this was like this, I don't even remember the guy's name, but it was some renowned architect in the area, somebody that's a big deal. Somebody I aspired to be like someday, right? So then she shows me that, and I go to I give her a bid, like, oh, give me a bid for this, and we're excited to work with you. Okay, so I give her a bid, and she's sitting there, we're sitting there looking over the bid and the plans, and she gives me the job. She goes, okay, well, you're hired. I'm excited to work with you. You're hired. And I go, she says to me, she goes, you're not telling me something. I think are you not excited about this project? Something like that. I think she kind of sensed something about my demeanor. And I just naturally just blurted out. I said, well, I think we can do better, So then as soon as I said that, it's kind of like when you left your keys in the car and you go to close the door and you're like, I'm leaving my keys in the car. You know what I mean? Like I couldn't, I was like, wanted to put the words back in my mouth. Like,
right. It's too late now.
Because so she goes, really, well, why don't you, that's okay. She goes, why don't you do your best and you tell me what you're thinking and show me how much time do you need it? And she goes, well, just take as much time as you want. As a matter of fact, I think that's what she said. I said, okay, well, give me a week and I'll show you something. She goes, okay, great. So I'm leaving the house and I'm like hitting myself in the head, and I'm like, why did you do that? Like the job's already sold.
Right.
It was going to be the biggest job I ever did already. And now I not only took a crap on this designer who I wish I could be like someday. So I'm probably going to piss him off. And I potentially could have ruined this deal. You know what I mean? And I'm also, diminishing her $20,000 expenditure on this like person that she's so proud of, So anyway, so I leave with my tail between my legs, and a few days later, I'm sitting at Kinko's with my pencil drawings finished, and I'm like printing them out, copies of them, and I'm sitting there looking at this thing, and I'm telling you, I go, man, if these people don't see that this is so much better than what they showed me, then they don't know what they're talking about, because I'm convinced this is much better, So I went back there and I unraveled the plans for her, and I could have gone either way.
Oh, sure.
And she goes, yeah, like, so she looked at the plans and she grabbed the other guy's plans, crushed them up like this and throws them and goes, that's garbage. This is real artwork. You have any other ideas, you let me know. And basically told me in so many words, like, you got a blank check. Like, just let me know what this costs. But, if you come up with anything else, you let me know, and so on, So sure enough, yeah, I did the bid, and then she hired me right away, and we started doing the work. Turns out that Joe was one of the owners of Freeway Insurance. So he's a big deal, big executive owner of the company. So then we did that job, and then from then on, it's a Lebanese family. So the thing about the Lebanese community is, like, all of their friends hired me, all of their family hired me. They were just handing me around, and then they all like to top each other. So now I go to this guy's house. So I go to like, his cousin's house, and his cousin's like, well, I want you to build something really cool, but whatever it is, I want it to be better than Joe's. You know what I mean?
I understand that. So I work in Texas, and there's a lot of people that feel that way as well.
Yeah, family members and neighbors.
It's a blessing.
Oh yeah.
Mm.
So,
Yeah.
So that got you started. What was one of the cool elements that was on that project? Just out of curiosity.
Oh man, so that one had so back then I was doing some crazy stuff. We do some really cool stuff now, but back then I was just really avant-garde, and it was really hard to get me to do the same thing again on another project back then, because I got really kind of sought after. I really got a name for myself in my own little community of followers. So I would have these guys call me, and we were just doing all high-end work. Like, you're talking back then, I didn't really talk to anybody unless they had a budget of at least, $250,000.
Wow.
And that was back a long time ago. You know what I mean?
So is this back, looking around 2000?
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe 2005, 2000. Yeah. Cause it was right before the bubble burst. So like 2005. Yeah.
Yeah.
Was there like certain features that you were doing that was before its time that no one else is doing? Because I know on the way here, my dad was thinking that he was like, he heard, because you do sunken fire pits and stuff like that, but what you say, like 15 years ago or something like that?
So I was just noticing that you've been doing them a long time. And that's something that's really popular now. But you've been incorporating that for a long period of time. When did you start doing that?
20 years ago.
Yeah.
Shit.
Yeah, maybe 22 years ago. Yeah.
Yeah.
22 years ago. Yeah.
So I don't know anybody else that was doing that type of feature in a residential setting, that long ago. So anyway, I think that's a really cool space. Why do you like them? I'm just curious.
Sunken fire pits?
Yes, sir.
Well, you've seen them before, right? They're pretty cool, aren't they?
I know why I like them. I like it because now you can be dry and interact with somebody that's wet, and you're eye to eye in doing that type situation. Yeah. So it gives great interaction with people, especially today. In today's world, a lot of people like to relax and hang out and that type of situation. It's not about swimming. It's just we want to create this space that we can interact with people. So I tell people all the time, it's not even about the fire, okay? It's about the space that's sunken. Now, the fire's great, 3/4 of the year as well, but there's some times of the year you may not even turn it on. So anyway, but that's why I like it. I was just curious of what you like about them.
When they're underground like that, it acts as a wind shear. So like, even if it's kind of cold outside, or especially if it's cold outside, people are going to wind up down in that fire pit. Okay. And even if nobody wants to go in the pool because it's too cold, you can turn that waterfall on and it comes over into the pit, and it has that kind of magical effect of disappearing into the ground, because we usually have the bottom of the pit's always gravel, usually some kind of pebble. And you can still use your outdoor space, and even your pool for that matter, in the winter, because you still turn the lights on in the pool, you turn the waterfall on. So now the pool is like this artistic feature. And now you're sitting down in the pit in this really comfy seating area. Because also the seating, the way we do it is we pitch it, we put it back, the seat kind of tilts back, and then it's kind of a cradling effect. The seat comes up like this, so you're kind of laying in it,
Right.
And with your feet up on the fire. So yeah.
One of the features you just mentioned, I know that you did on some, but I didn't know if you did it on all of them, is you actually do where the water overflows into the fire pit space. And so, is that something you do commonly? Or is
we do a ton of them.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so the
100 of them a year.
The bottom of the sunken fire pit then becomes your vanishing edge basin that you just recycle the water back into the pool with.
Exactly. Yeah. So you've got to get that basin to be big enough, because you got to push the water up. That water's got to stand up like an inch. We call it 1.5 inches.
Right.
So you it's an equation that you come up with for that, and that's how big your basin needs to be. So that basin's a lot of times, depending on the size of the pool, it's going to be half to almost the full size of the sunken pit, and then down another 4 feet.
Okay. So
you know what I mean?
Yeah,
so how do you build the patio area in the middle of it?
How do you build the patio area in the middle of it? What do you mean?
Yeah. So you got the water running over, and your patio, your sunken fire pit's in the middle of it, right? So is the basin just wrapped around it like a
Oh, you're
donut?
talking about the kind where you're talking about where the sunken pit is in the middle of the pool. Is that what you're asking about?
Yeah.
Oh, how do you do the rim flow for that? So it's a rim flow?
Yeah. So and the water's running down into the middle of this area. Anyway.
Yeah, yeah. It's like a rim flow. Do you
Okay.
guys do rim flows over there? And
Yes. Yeah.
yeah,
Different
yeah.
name.
It's just a rim flow. So the rim flow goes into a channel, and then it goes back. It goes into a basin, and then the basin recirculates the water back into the pool.
Okay.
Yeah. So that was something that we did. The first sunken pit we did was actually at that job that I told you I built my first pool at. So we did this like retaining wall and a fireplace against the wall, and then we did this sunken pit with a cage over it, and then like a vine growing over the cage. So you climb down in there, and you were down in the sunken. It was cool.
That's cool.
Like I said, it was like a hobbit. Looked like a hobbit lived there, like a hobbit house.
Like the Shire.
Yeah, kind of. It really did look like that. Yeah, I'll have to send you the address so you can look at it. It's still that way.
That'd be sweet. I'm
Still
wondering because you're like this is very trendy. Like you're ahead of your time with these trends. Like 20 years ago, that's a long time. But you had to have like an idea that you tried and it just didn't work. Or how do you go? Did you have any ideas that it was like, man, because you're so
didn't
out
work?
there? Yeah, and you had to like.
Yeah.
Okay. Can you tell us about one of those? The
Yeah. So well, I mean, the sunken pits, we didn't just get it perfect the first time. We had
Yeah.
to mess around with that. The fire cages, I still haven't seen anybody try doing one of those, but like those are tricky. Like the fire cages, because some of them sometimes they hold up second stories. So instead of having these, here we got this one here in Coto de Caza. It was like a 60-foot by 20, I don't know, 25 feet or something like that. This massive deck, and you've got these three columns that hold up the deck, and those are fire cages, and those are they're rings, and the rings make up this tubular, the cylindrical fire cage, and then there's fire going up the middle of it, and that thing's holding up a second story. It's 100-pound per square foot second story deck. So it took some engineering to get that done, and you have to have a little bit of an engineering mind to kind of work with the engineer, and you got to find an engineer who's
down to
dumb enough to want to sit there and mess with. Because engineers, I mean, I'm sure you guys know, engineers are, when they first start, they're willing to work with you and come up with stuff and kind of perseverate about the details that it takes to go custom,
Yeah.
Yeah.
The fire pillars. The other one was the halo lighting. I've been calling it halo lighting for, that was just a way to describe to the clients. It's like a halo that goes around, So now it's like, that's what they call it out here now, is halo lighting. And that's just something I came up, like we were doing it with rope lighting,
Okay.
because you used to be able to buy rope lighting. It was kind of like Christmas lighting, and people were using the rope lights to do Christmas lights on their eaves. So then that's what I did. So then this was 22 years ago. And we started, like when we poured our concrete coping or the concrete caps on the walls, we would put in a piece of foam, leave a little channel, and then we jam that rope light, and it's an incandescent rope light. We jam it up in there in the cap, and then glow down on the on the walls, on the retaining walls, garden walls, stuff like that, on the steps.
Yeah.
Right. So one of the things that mentioned was we were looking is you actually make a lot of your own precast. Is that right?
Oh, yeah.
So yeah,
How did that start?
Just out of necessity. Yeah. Just out of necessity. I actually just recently got rid of that company because it just turned into a big rabbit hole, and it took up a lot of my bandwidth. We might do it again, but it's probably going to be a few years before I go and want to do that again, because it just takes up a lot of, like I said, bandwidth.
Right.
But we did it because like a lot of the custom stuff, I mean, we still work with those guys if we want stuff. I just didn't want to run and manage the company and finance it and everything anymore.
Right. So let them make what you need and deal with it separately. So
custom made bowls that are massive, 7-foot planter bowl that needs to be craned in, stuff that we need. the channel lighting and the caps that no other precast company seems to want to do. The moldings that go around the weeping walls.
So
Yeah.
you're working in Southern California. The lots are typically fairly small. So you've got some really cool features that you incorporate with a lot of jobs. And the weeping walls is another one that I really like, the work that you've done. You do unique tile work on it. You do all kinds of, you do a lot of different ones. So how did that start, and how long have you been doing that as a feature as well?
Sweeping walls, same thing. It's one of those things that, so all of these features that you're, like you said, that are just like now starting to become a thing, are just like, all of those are things that I came up with the first few years that I was like doing all the custom work back when I used to do all the designs. Because like I said, I would just come up with I would innovate new things every time we got a new client, because these are projects that go, I mean, some of these projects will last a year, and I'm only doing 2 or 3 projects at a time.
Right.
Because I was running them all myself. So I wouldn't even take more work than that. This is back when I was glorifying the idea of being an artist, and I didn't care about making money. I hadn't married my wife yet, so I didn't really, I just wanted to do my artwork and that's it. And I just fancied myself as this guy who was, like, I'm such an artist that I won't even replicate, I already did that piece of work, and now we're going to do something else, and it's going to be even better, but I'm not going to replicate that again, so every job would be different.
Right.
And that's how you have all these crazy things that, even nowadays, like this is stuff we still don't even do. Like we used to do, like we started doing wood water jetting started becoming a thing. So then like we would take like a black, uba tuba slab of granite, and then we would cut it out like a crazy pattern, and then we would do a negative inside of it with a honey onyx, like translucent honey onyx. So then you've got like a patio cover with archways and everything, like very sort of Mediterranean looking house, with this patio cover with archways, and then the walls for the patio cover have this scroll work that's in the stone, and then it's glowing through the stone, if you can imagine that. Sort of the negative cut slabs that we used to do that with the designs in there. When Banksy started becoming a big thing, some of the stuff, like we used to do we did a job where it was the Banksy bear that was like cut into this slab, and then it's got the glowing through the onyx to show the Banksy bear with the guns. And then because the Banksy bear with the guns, and then it's got 50 caliber bullets all the way around the piece of work, and then that's the backsplash for an outdoor kitchen.
Right.
Wow.
So just crazy stuff like that. Yeah, we used to do back in the old days. Fireballs, so we do these big spheres that look like a nest. It's just a bunch of little sticks, little steel square not tubes, they're like square little rods, like metal rods, and then we just cut those up into little pieces, and then we'd lay them all, it looked like a nest, but it was like a sphere. So that's a fire cage, a fireball. So it's like fire coming out of that thing.
That's cool. It's like something out of Troy. I'm wondering, what values did you carry from your early life? Because you have a really interesting
Background.
Yeah, background. But what'd you bring from that to your company now? Is there anything specific besides, obviously you're very creative and that's been there the whole time?
Yeah, my work ethic, my dad kind of beat it into my head since I was really small. Like I remember even when I was like 7, 8 years old, my dad used to tell me like, whatever you ever do, even when I was just working on my little projects, like playing with Legos and stuff like that, he would make sure, he goes, whatever you do, you got to make sure that it's like the best that it could be. And then he would even tell me things like, when you start working someday, when you make sure that everything goes through you. And I don't care if you're washing dishes or sweeping floors or anything, because you figure out a system to make it more efficient. Because then if you do that, then everything will have to go through you. Like it'll be forced to go through you.
Yeah.
And he would tell me, he said, and I'm telling you since I was little, he used to tell me this. He said, if you do that, you're going to make a lot of enemies. Most of the people there are going to hate you for it, because most of the people there are working for the company. They're not going to like you you're going to make them look bad. but the right people who actually matter will notice that, because exceptional people are going to notice in another exceptional person. They're going to want to work with you.
Yeah.
So I just had it in my head since I was a kid. And when I started my business, I had just had that work ethic.
So is that where the efficiency, you're just always trying to build on it? I know with your company now today, you try to have people that are specialists.
Yeah.
That everybody is geared towards their strengths of what they do. One of the things you said was something about estimators and engineers are certain types of people, and designers are other types of people, and so let's have each of them work on their strengths. Is that where that comes from?
Before I met my wife, before I got married, I was just, like I said, more of an artist type.
Right.
And then after I met my wife, I made a promise to her dad. I said, because we lived in a $1,300 a month apartment, didn't really have much going on. I drove a 10-year-old pickup truck. My wife had a Hyundai that her dad bought her. And when I went to go ask her parents to marry her, I told her dad, I said, I'm not worth much now, but I promise you, if you let me take responsibility for her, someday she'll want for nothing. I had the guts to say that ridiculous thing to him. Right. So then, I just started obsessing over systems and processes and ERP software, and if this, then that, and all the different pathways of what could happen in production, and everything from intake to design to to sales, design, drafting, permitting, engineering, production, all of it. So I knew that I had to turn the company into a real corporation. And fortunately, I had a friend of mine who had a patio cover company, Southern California Patios. And my friend Kyle is the owner of that company. And he was kind of also getting interested in that sort of thing, like standard operating procedures, ERP software. And he was dabbling in different sorts of softwares and stuff like that. And he said, listen, this is the way of the future. This is how we're going to get our companies to grow. And he was just obsessive. He and I both have obsessive personalities. So we just took to each other real well and became really close. And then he kind of rubbed off on me and almost forced me to do it, because I was kind of like in the thought of, well, I'm the designer. I'm the guy that they want. How can I scale that? I can't scale that, Kyle. And he insisted on it. And eventually he came to my house and made me set it up. He said, let's pull up Trello. And here's how you're going to run, So he just started showing me, he showed me like Trello and like Pipedrive. And then once I understood how, if this, then that, if this, then that it kind of goes down a domino effect, like a path.
Right.
And I saw you can design a path for the business and then follow that path and know what you're supposed to do. Then I just started obsessing over that. So now it's like fast forward now, many years later, our ERP software is, it's taken years and years and years and thousands of hours to build. And, there's multiple different departments in the company. Pretty much all the other pool companies, I don't know how you guys operate, but they're pretty much all come from Anthony and Sylvan. You understand that, right? Like Anthony and Sylvan is the oldest company. They came out in 1944 or something like that, or
right, their production style. So
yeah, so like that, pretty much all of the other pool companies are like the kids of Anthony and Sylvan. Like that's where it all came from. Like to Anthony and Sylvan's credit, like they designed that whole
system.
The one guy wears 8 hats.
Yeah.
Right. So then the one guy, and it kind of makes sense in a way. We didn't do it that way because I didn't know any better. So, because I'd never worked for a pool company. So I didn't even know about that until way later. We were already well established. But now, like they pioneered the whole, like, okay, the guy goes out, like the same guy goes out, like takes the lead, goes out, meets the client, does the design, like does the survey, does the design, does the estimating, sells it, makes the contract up. In some cases, even like obviously he designed everything, like makes the plans, drafting for the plans, and submits it for permits. And then if you're lucky, he hands it off to a project manager, depending on the size of the company. But usually that one guy wears like 8 hats.
Right.
No, so we're like, our company is, the designers they think with their hearts, you know what I mean? They fall in love with the job. And, an engineer or a drafter or an estimator for that matter has kind of a square-minded they want to put their headphones in, throw their hoodie on, and just focus and just forget about the world around them and just crunch numbers all day. And they're happy to do that.
Right.
Salesmen are just like werewolves. You know what I mean? They hunt, they kill, and they want to move on to the next one. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like share the kill with the feast with the rest of the tribe, and then go off and hunt more. You know what I mean? That's what they want to do. So I believe that they each should have their own departments and be efficient in what they do. But I'm probably nuts. I probably don't know what I'm talking about because I didn't come from the industry. So I think I probably ruined California for the pool industry.
Congratulations.
Yeah. I mean, at least that's what I was told. Probably shouldn't name names, but I had a guy come visit me from one of the biggest pool companies in the country. And he came visit me, and I spent 2 days with him, and he just told me everything about it. And he said, we have meetings about you, and we actually left California because of you. Well, I guess you probably narrow it down now, but he said, because you ruined California, because now California is soup to nuts. Every other place in the country, here's the pool and the spa. Yeah. Maybe you get the deck, and then the landscaper comes in and does everything else. You don't have to mess with it.
Right.
So the pool shows are easy. They're easy to run. They're easy to sell. They're easy to design. Everything's easy about them. There's no liability hardly at all. I mean, it's very low liability. Now what we do in California, now the other builders have adopted that. The last few years since maybe like COVID, now these guys are coming, they do everything.
Yeah.
So from soup to nuts. Yeah.
So I was the weirdo. I have a degree in landscape architecture. And so I worked to Northern California in 85 and started in the landscape business there. And in 92, moved up the food chain and became a pool salesperson in Sacramento. I worked from Sacramento to Napa. But the unique thing is I was the guy that did it all. I did the landscaping and the arbor and the lighting. And so people loved it because usually you had to go through the process you're talking about. And I was a one-stop shop that, could control the whole environment for them. Now, I worked with different companies to facilitate that. It wasn't under one company, but I was the bridge between all the pieces. So I understand that concept. The other thing I understand is there's things that I'm really good at and there's stuff I suck at. And so I always would go hire someone to do the stuff I was really bad at because, it's just, that's not my strength. And I don't, there's nobody that can do all of this well. So everybody has a certain part of it that they do really good. And so, it's great because right now I have a team that works with me. Trey does some parts of the job. Megan does other parts of the job. I do some parts of the job. And, we can work all of it to create something similar to what you guys do. So yeah, it makes a better flow for a client. So, which is ultimately what we're trying to do is create a good situation for the client.
So, you could be a jack of all trades or a master of none.
So do you guys incorporate the landscaping as well in your process? I think I saw something about your wife talking about fruit trees and stuff on one of your videos. So anyway.
Yeah, we handle everything.
Okay.
Like every stitch of everything. Yeah.
That's awesome.
The furniture is maybe one of the things that we don't get into too much. Yeah. But as far as the build, yeah, we do everything. Yeah.
Do your designers do the whole design, like landscaping included, or is there some that might just do pool and some might just do landscaping?
I'm sorry. So your question was, is there different people dealing with? So okay.
I'm wondering because there's landscape designers out here that usually do the landscaping, and there's pool designers that usually do the pools. But if you're doing the whole package, that's a lot of creative freedom. And I would imagine, doing the whole thing by.
So the guys that, so like the designers that do the whole rendering and everything don't get involved in picking out plants.
Okay.
But we have our nerds that deal with the plant nerds that deal with dialing in the landscaping.
Yeah, this plant grows in the shade, and this one grows in the sun, and you got to use this here and that type of situation.
Yeah.
But the initial concept, you guys do 3D modeling with your concepts now?
Of course, every single one of them's got a 3D model, yeah. Unless it's for a contractor and then they hand us a set of plans.
Right. Do you use Pool Studio? Is that what y'all use?
SketchUp maybe?
Or
for the most part is Pool Studio, and then we use VIP 3D,
Yes.
and then in some cases we use Lumion.
Okay. Yeah. So I do a design challenge in the industry. It's called the $1 Million Pool Challenge, and the top 5 finalists get to go to the pool show where they present, and then the class votes on who's the best. And the very first time we did it, there was a student at Oklahoma OU, and he used Lumion, and nobody had even seen it in the pool, and they were all like, "Wow, that's amazing!" And almost every winter until this year, then the next guy's like, "Well, I need to learn that too." So it's a pretty cool program. I don't like the fire though on it. I think it doesn't look as good as what Pool Studios got or VIP anyway. But that's cool. That really helps people to visualize things. Which you guys do a lot of small spaces, so that must be critical to help people understand how their spaces all go together.
Yeah, it's pretty much every single project's got to get the 3D renderings now. And yes, we do have a lot of small spaces out here in Orange County, and especially in LA County. There's a lot of small spaces, but occasionally we've got, an acre or half an acre.
Right.
Some of the bigger projects, yeah.
No.
So I'm wondering what the efficiency of your company. On your website, it said you talk about the big 5 draw system that's obviously been around for a long time. So I mean, there's people that are probably listening that don't even know that some pool companies charge every week or something like that. So do you want to talk about the express program that y'all do?
Pretty much the whole industry is the same way. It's very rare. I can't think of another company than us that does progress billing. Maybe you guys can share what you do, but phase payments is kind of the way it's always been with everybody. And back in the old days when Anthony and Sylvan started, they had a hole in the ground. Yeah. As a pool. It's not even a spa in there.
Right
in the beginning. So in order to get paid on time, you couldn't just do the work and then have them pay you at the end of the week, because some of these pools would be done in a week. They didn't even have all the break tests and everything we have now. So they had to get these phase payments. Like, we dig the hole, give me 25%, do the rebar 25%, do the shell 25%, coping and tile 15%, and then 10% at the plaster or something like that.
Right.
There varies a little bit, but that's pretty much what it is. Some guys are 30 and 10 and 5 or whatever. But anyhow, so that's the way it was. It was for a long time. And then in the late 90s, now you've got all the, waterfalls, outdoor kitchens, outdoor living rooms, retaining walls, like all the craziness that goes along with the pool projects. Now they're not even really pool projects; they're outdoor living projects, right?
100%, yes, sir.
So now you've got $500,000 or whatever, $250,000, $500,000, $1 million project. And these guys are still getting paid that way. They still are charging. We know because we see the contracts, So they still go same thing, 25% at the dig, 25% at rebar, 20% at shotcrete, 50% at plaster and coping. And they've got, 75% of the project still to do. And they've collected 75% of the money. I mean, there's builders now that we've seen their contracts where they 5% discount if you give me 90% of the money up front.
Wow.
Yeah. I don't want to name names, but the particular builder I'm talking about, he's on his 4th company.
Yeah. Right.
So he was here. Let me see. I think he started out in Texas, then he came here. He was in a franchise, a major franchise. I'm sure you can guess who that is. But the biggest franchise in the pool industry there is. He was there. Then he tanked that office. Then he came out here. Then he got into this other franchise that was a local franchise here. He tanked that. Then he switched over to he's changed the name of that office. Now he's a new name. Okay, so he's on his 3rd one right now.
Okay.
And I think he's on his way out. I think he's on his way, because when I started seeing those contracts for 90%, 5% discount for 90%. So the idea with that is, and this is probably boring for anybody who's not in the pool industry, but these guys would come in.
This is really important for a homeowner.
Oh, 100%.
Understand.
Yeah, you know what? Actually, you're right. Now that I think of it,
No, this is so important.
hopefully they sit and listen to this, because this is what the whole industry is all about now. Because what COVID did is it created a bunch of these little guys that are just, and don't get me wrong, a lot of these people are just, and they start out this way, even the bad ones sometimes, where they're just hardworking, people that are just trying to make a buck. And so here's what happened. It's almost kind of a trap for them too. Here's what happens. These guys, I can do pools, I can do them myself, They start out with their little business. They take 75% by the shell. Now they do 4 or 5 of them like that. Now they're cash rich. They got, $1 million in the bank. And they feel like they got all this money because, the old thing with contractors is, hey, how's the contracting business going for you? Are you doing all right? He goes, well, I don't know, but I got $1 million in the bank. I think I'm doing all right, because these guys don't know. Typically, they don't really sit there and, they're usually, a lot of the guys are like me. They're just, high school dropouts, or in my case, I dropped out in junior high, and don't know how to read a spreadsheet or a balance sheet.
Right.
So they're not, it just feels like you have a lot of money, but you really don't. You're really borrowing the money. So you're going down the road, and as long as you keep digging more holes every month or every quarter even, you're fine. You seems like you got all this money in the bank, but you're really not. You're really borrowing it. So during COVID, perfect storm. Stay-at-home order, free money. The rates went, the rates were super low. People are borrowing money against their houses like crazy. So it was just like a perfect storm for people to start these pool companies.
Yeah.
I mean, the pool industry, we tripled in size in a year.
Oh,
it was the biggest bonanza in the pool industry ever in history.
Yeah, it was perfect. People want to be outside to avoid, getting infected.
And
right.
That was the demand on the industry, and most people, that's why they failed, is they couldn't produce fast enough.
Yeah.
So that was hard.
Let's talk about that. So here's what happened. Here are these guys going nuts. Signing contracts like crazy.
Oh yeah.
Sign them up.
Oh yeah.
My guys, I shut down the business in the beginning of COVID. I shut it down. We turned it into a design firm, and then I revamped all my price book to be dynamic. So my price book's live. So in the industry, like when the vendor changes their prices, it's live on my books. And I wouldn't restart it. It took months for us to build it out. I think it was 4 months. March, April, May, June, July, August, we did it. Almost 5 months. And my staff is crying, please let us sell. Like, we need to sell. Like, just sell the designs. We're not ready to sell the pools yet. Because I knew, because I was operating during 2008, during the housing crash.
Yeah.
So I said, guys, I'm telling you, I know what's going to happen. This is a bubble. Like, we'll be ready for it when it's really, when it's ready to strike. When we're ready to strike, we'll be ready to go. Like, it'll be the right time. So anyhow, sure enough, what happened was the prices. It drove up the prices of material.
Crazy,
right? I hedged my bet. I bought a $250,000 in equipment, in pool equipment. So then I had all this stuff stockpiled. And then in August, I opened up the floodgates. We started selling, except for our pricing was dynamic pricing. And then we did a market price adjustment. That's what we coined that phrase, a market price adjustment. So then what we would do is we would sign the contract, and then now you're talking, instead of a month or two for a permit, now you're waiting 3, 4, 5, 6 months, a year for permits.
Right.
Like, now it's like not crazy to wait a year for a permit here. So what happened was, you got 6 months down the road, at least typically on average, for a permit. And then you're on the job for another 6 months. So you're a year down the road, and your pricing is from pre-COVID. A lot of these guys went out of business because they were just like, there's some of this stuff literally went up 500%.
Oh yeah.
And they signed a contract like when it was regular pricing.
Right.
You know what I mean? So we were that's why we kicked ass, because we did dynamic pricing and we did market price adjustments. So by the time they got their permit, we would revisit the contract with the client and go, hey, here's what it is. This went up, this went up, this went up. This is your new price for your permit. So or for your project. Technically, we sold them a permit package, and then when they were done getting their permits, then we would
contract.
then we would sign the contract for the bills. And that was huge. And so then it went from like our staff being really pissed off at me and thinking I was losing my mind to like, oh my God, you're a genius. Thank God you did that. Like we're crushing it, you know?
That's awesome.
And as a result, we're still fixing a lot of rotten projects that these guys took on.
Oh yeah. There's a whole slew of projects that are going to be coming out of 2020 through 2023
for a lot of different reasons.
You know, because people that were not building, that didn't understand, and they didn't overbuild them, they underbuilt them.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's a whole nother story. But
can we talk about that for a second? How to avoid that, maybe?
Yeah, for sure.
So the trick to that is pretty simple. If you go on their Yelp and they've got 20 reviews or something, like they're 5 or 10 or 20 reviews, they're probably going to be pretty new, right?
Okay.
So you try to get the thing is with a pool company is we're not a restaurant. We're not making enchiladas every 5 minutes, and we're not going to get thousands of reviews a year. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's really hard for a pool company to get reviews. It takes a long time, 6 months or more to have the whole thing done from start to finish. So for us to get a review, it's a big deal. So if you see a pool company that's got 50 or 60 or 100 reviews, or in our case, we've got almost 200 reviews, that's a big deal. So that it depends on what you want to, but if you want a high-end project, look for that.
Right.
The other thing is, I'm sorry, you're going to make a comment?
Yeah. So it has to be a high-end project, because there's guys out there that are in the pool industry, and you look at the review and it's like, oh, I did a filter clean.
Yeah.
And I repaired the mastic around a pool. And
now that's a good point.
So
that's a good point.
You want to look at the quality of the review that was done. So I think
there's a few things to touch on. That was one of the things I was going to point out, is that you got to look and see what type of pool company it is, because a lot of these guys that have a lot of reviews, like if they've got more than 100 reviews, look at the pictures. Because if it's just like a pool company that's a pool maintenance company and they occasionally build a pool, or they plaster them or whatever, that's not your guy. If you're building a custom pool and you want a weeping wall or waterfall or sunken pit or whatever, then you need to find a company that actually does all that. So look at their Instagram and their Yelp and the pictures on Yelp and make sure that it's what you're looking for, right?
100%.
And if they got a good amount of reviews. The other thing is, look at when they're established. Like, okay, how long have they been on Yelp? And then go and look at their the contractor state license board. And if you see, here's another dead giveaway. If the company's got 2 years of reviews and the company says it's 30 years old, because a lot of these guys, what they did, especially the guys during COVID, is they would just pay the old timers for their license. These guys are retired. They find an inactive license. Hey, let's reactivate your license. I'll pay you 10 grand for it or whatever. Yep.
That's sneaky.
So, yeah. So they're acting as if they've been around for a long time, and they don't. And you look at their insurance information and their reviews, their Yelp account or their Google account, and you see it's like pretty new. Right. And there's not really a record. So if you really kind of try and look and say how many pictures do they have? Like, you see how established a company is, like how many videos do they have on YouTube? You can see that it's like relatively a new company with a super old license, that's a dead giveaway.
That, or it's an old guy like me, and I just learned technology.
You've been on YouTube for a while.
Yeah, 10 years. So anyway,
there you go. So like, you've been doing it. So if you got 10 years of a footprint, a 10-year footprint, that's like that's well established, especially in the pool industry. 10 years is like, that's really impressive to even be around for 10 years. Most of these guys, you look on Yelp, and most of them are, a few years old.
Right.
Well, especially just for social media.
Yeah. Pool companies that's not an easy business. Like, the thing is, it's extremely easy to run it like a scam. But then there's a longevity problem. Like, you can only run the Ponzi scheme until there's a dip in the market. Because if you're not, then you have to make a decision. Are you going to be a real honest person and then just like regroup and file for Chapter 11 and then regroup and try again? Or are you going to go to the dark side and go, I got $1 million in the bank, and I got 12 projects that are underground, that are underwater, upside down.
Yeah.
If I just keep that money and run and go to another town, I could start over again.
Right.
And that's what these guys do.
Yeah.
And they make that decision to go to the dark side or not,
Yeah. So they're jumping back between Nashville and Dallas and Orange County and then rotating it around again. So anyway, that's been going on for a long time. But, yeah, that's good information for a homeowner to be aware of in the process. So what's your favorite thing to design?
Me personally?
Yes, sir.
I like it when they have a nice budget, and I love when I still have clients that just really want to deal with me.
Well, sure.
And when a client says, just listen, I just want to do whatever you want to do, and I've got this, I've got $1 million or $2 million or whatever, then I get excited. It's not really the money thing, because it's actually a waste of my time, and I'd make more money if I don't pay attention to a job like that and just go off and keep running the business. But then my artistic side gets turned on, and then I get involved. So I've got a project right now we're doing in Shady Canyon that's a pretty high-end project, and I'm super into it. Like, that's my baby. I've got another one, actually. I've got 2 projects right now like that. I got one in San Clemente and one in Shady Canyon. And it's got my sauce all over it. So I'm working with the clients, and we're going and picking all the materials out and all that stuff. And it's very rare that I do that anymore, but occasionally, like maybe a couple projects a year that I really get involved in like that.
That's cool. Jesse, if you could,
all of it is
bad.
the answer. All of it. Yeah.
Hell yeah.
The whole project, as long as it fits that criteria.
If you could, if a homeowner could or should ask you something, but they never do, or it's something that's common that homeowners should ask you, what would that be?
You mean like the common mistakes that I wish they wouldn't?
Yeah.
I think the most important things that clients should really kind of focus on when they're building their project is don't scrimp on the planting and the lighting, because it's the last thing. So a lot of times these clients, like, we build all the, like, some clients go like, I want all the fancy detail, like I want the fire cages and I want the weeping wall and the sunken pit and all that stuff, right? And then they scrimp on the last phase is, the lighting, the planting, the irrigation system, but to get those plants dialed in, it's like putting jewelry on the thing,
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah. And
it's like,
lighting makes such a difference too.
It does.
I mean, and most people enjoy their space at night more than they do during the daytime. So, the lighting, I think, is a really key thing that, and you do some really nice lighting work on your projects.
I appreciate that. It's a big deal for us. Lighting, I think, it's huge. So the plant specimens and the way you light the plant specimens are super important. Even the facets, like how you light up like a 3D, like a tile that's like kind of popped out 3D, and then you, like, a lot of Arto stuff is 3D, and you hit that with an angled light and it creates like a silhouette kind of, it's really important. It's kind of like, think about, like, you ever been to Restoration Hardware?
Yes.
You guys have one of those in Texas? Yeah.
Yeah.
So where are you again? You're up north, right?
We're in Dallas, Fort Worth.
Oh, you're in Texas. Okay. So Restoration Hardware, you go in there and everything's either beige, some stage of like beige or brown or whatever, like everything is that, but the lighting is the reason they're so successful, really, I think, is more their lighting even than their furniture, because they're all like running like a 2000, it looks like a 2000 Kelvin to me. So everything's kind of got this really nice glow. So the lighting's important. Yeah. So that's the one thing that I think the clients need to focus on. The plants and the lighting. What else?
Give a true crime. We've talked about a lot of crimes already, but is there a specific true crime?
Crimes committed by contractors, or crimes committed by the homeowners? By the
now you're talking. Here we go.
Is that a conversation for off the record?
Well, it'd be good for a homeowner to hear what not to do.
But we were specifically thinking about contractors, but we can talk about both.
But yeah, it's up to you. Yeah.
So okay. I think just, if you're gonna do phase payments, I think you just need to really do your homework and make sure that the client, so if it's like us, right? Like, we do hundreds of pools a year and we have a great reputation, and there's a lot of reasons for us not to burn ourselves. So the clients really have the leverage, and we're not going to burn ourselves for $100,000. So if you're going to do phase payments, then that would be the way to do it. Other than that, if you're dealing with a new contractor, like somebody that's just like, Joe, Bob, and his cousin in their old pickup truck, then you should probably do phase payments every week, because you're just setting these people up for failure, because you give them all this money up front, and even if they have the best intentions and they wind up spending all your money to build this thing, maybe they undersold it. I mean, some of these guys are 40% cheaper than me.
That was
they can't. Yeah.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but that was also something on your website. You said when you started out, you were underselling a lot of the stuff, and you were finishing it no matter what, just out of the the art. But yeah, that's a huge point. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So and even me, like, I just barely scraped by, and we always did not phase payments. We did progress billing. So we just charged the client based on what we did every week.
Right.
Yeah,
there's a lot of people that are doing large projects that do cost plus, and they're doing cost plus, and they're billing it every week, and that's a fair way to do it. But there's some people that do it by phase. But I think a lot of them break the phases up into a lot smaller pieces now, because I mean, you've got everything, like you said earlier, from an outdoor kitchen to all these different components that you may have in the project. So it may be broken into smaller pieces, because, the client doesn't want to give you a check when you dig the pool for, $450,000 just because you dug a pool. Anyway, so they're all different. I think how some people do it, at least here in Texas, it's a little bit different, but
I think you guys do the phase payments though too, right? Like that's mainly what you guys do out there.
Mostly, but the phases are broke up. It's not like just 4 or 5. There might be like 8 or 9. It's depending on the components of the job. So
yeah, but you guys are getting prepaid, right?
We get a deposit, but not. I mean, that's just like 5 or 10%. So to get
but it's ahead of what you're not putting the work out, and then you're not the bank, right?
We are not the bank. So we work, and then we ask for the draw after it's been completed.
Which is
so you are the bank. That's what I call being the bank.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry.
You're loaning the money.
Yes, we do the work, and then we ask for the money. So that's the way. But not a lot of companies aren't that way. And it's funny when you said yes, and we need the check before we plaster the pool, because there's a lot of people that they're like, we got to have the money, and then they run out the door and don't finish the project because there's all kinds of stuff on a punch list. So, So anyway.
Yeah. I have really strong beliefs about that sort of thing.
Oh yeah.
About when to collect the money from the clients and how and what, So we got one right recently, and I really don't like taking these, but we don't really have the time to take them. But we had a client recently that was really nice and was very complimentary. She said all the right things to get us to do the work with her. So then, so she's got this sunken pit, and a lot of people screw those up. So you got this sunken pit, and then you got the pool water that comes into the sunken pit, right? Like a waterfall.
Yeah.
And these guys did a couple of the most obvious mistakes that people make with these sunken pits. So one thing they did was the basin was too small. So the pump is cavitating the whole time.
Oh yeah.
So then they're telling the homeowner, well, I mean, listen, if you want this thing to work properly, you got to stick a hose in it and let it run until it stops, until it starts coming over. Yeah.
The hose feature.
Yeah, the hose feature, exactly. So, I mean, yeah, if you run the hose in it for half an hour, or whatever, like maybe an hour, like it'll eventually start working. Yeah, it'll work until you turn it off.
Yeah, exactly.
It'll overflow. Yeah. So anyway, that's one thing. The other thing they did, this is another super common thing, is like, here's the pool, and then the spa is in the pool, obviously, but the spa is right up to the bond beam. It's sharing the bond beam of the sunken pit, and it's it's like inside the pool, right? So the wall of the pool and the spa is like touching each other. They're essentially the same wall.
Mm-hmm.
So in order for the waterfall to come over and the sunken pit to work, it's taking water from the spa and the pool at the same time. So if you have
That's not gonna work.
you see what I mean?
Okay.
So it's like you can never use their spa and have your weeping wall working.
Right.
Because they would both come over and mix the water between the pool and the spa. They both mix, and you could never have a hot spa and use your weeping wall.
Right.
So we're fixing that. So that's kind of a horror story. But I've had some really bad ones where I had one where we had to tear out the whole entire yard. I've had a couple like that, but I had one where we did. This is like one of the biggest builders. They're not even really. I don't consider them a builder. They're a franchise. One of the biggest pool franchises in the country. Sorry. They have a lot of them like that. We've replaced a lot of their pools. So anyway, this one that we did where we had to replace everything, and then the shell was the only thing left. We're like, oh, maybe the pool shell's okay. And then we got into the pool shell, and then sadly the demo guy goes, dude, check this out. And he takes a jackhammer and he goes, it just goes right through the shell like butter. It goes, like it just goes right through it.
Oh, wow.
So then the whole thing, it was just like
Rebound City.
Yeah.
It was just like Adobe. Yeah. Like it was like the shell was made out of Adobe. It just like went right through it like butter, the jackhammer. So we had to tear that out. Like some of the most fun stories that like when I talk shop with other pool builders, to be honest with you, isn't even because the stuff that you go and fix that other pool builders screw up is like, it's just typical. Like, it's just not even that complicated.
Yeah.
They screw up the sunken pits. The masonry's done wrong, really crappy tile work. The plumbing is done incorrectly. So the pumps aren't working properly, just missing, the returns are plumbed backwards or, just obvious stuff like that. But honestly, the most interesting stories that we get like laugh out of or that are just like the most ooh-ah things are like really the homeowners. Like, we've been really lucky and we've done thousands of pools, right? And we, for the most part, have great clients. But, these are people at the end of the day. And sometimes you get some bad apples and it just gets crazy, Yep. We've had clients that have I don't know if you want to hear these stories, but I mean that's kind
of but the audience might not.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure they can really a lot of people own businesses and they know what it's like.
Yeah, that's true.
We had a lady that was coming outside every night and she would just get drunk, like super drunk every night. She'd go out in the middle of the night with her hammer and smash up the brand new concrete on the mantle for the fireplace. So her husband was like a great guy and we got along great and we couldn't figure it out. Me and her husband are going like, what's going on, man? Like, I don't know. This thing got smashed up over here. Like, don't worry, we'll fix it. So after the third night of that, because the second night I was like, man, somebody's sabotaging this thing, So then he goes, okay, we'll figure it out. And I think it was the third time that happened. She left her hammer out there, her brand new hammer. Like she was so wasted, she left it out there. And then I just took her and I was like, okay, let's fix it again. We third time fix it again. And then I said, hey, Dan, here, tell him, I forget his wife's name, but tell her her hammer, she left her hammer outside. And then she like freaking out and, but I mean, occasionally you get clients like that.
Did she not like the material or what was?
No, so she was mad that what she would do is she would go on these rants about how her husband was spending all the money.
Oh, so it was a punching bag, pretty much.
Yeah, so we were just kind of taking the abuse. And to be honest with you, that lady wound up owing me $35,000 and never paid me because that was back in the day before I had lawyers and everything else.
Yeah.
So she almost put me out of business. Like after she smashed up the mantle, we finished it. Her husband didn't give her back her hammer, and then we did an acid stain on her coping and all of her caps. And I told them, don't step outside until it cures.
Oh boy!
And instead of waiting, she like took her dog and like walked her dog outside. And the dog walked on it and then stepped in the regular concrete and then like stained it all up. And then she sent us like a message. She's like, "Don't you dare set foot on my property. You ruined my slabs, and I'll call the police if you show up." And da 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 da. And then I just responded and say, "Hey, listen, it's fine," because she thought it was ruined. I said, "It's no big deal. We can actually clean those stains with acid, and it'll be perfect." Like, and she said, "No, no, no." So I mean, nowadays I wouldn't put up with something like that, and I don't think anybody would try that with a company the way it's set up now. But back then I couldn't have. I was too scared to come after her for my money, so she wound up owing me 35 grand. And the funny thing about that is I went and did 3 of her family members' houses after that.
I guess it worked out. Hopefully.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. But I mean, yeah, we've had all kinds of horror stories like that with clients, like, you know.
Oh yeah. There's stuff that we can't say, but yes. Jesse, we established you're a trendsetter. Is there anything new you're doing right now that you think that people won't even catch wind until the next 10 years or something like that?
Yeah,
That's hard to predict, obviously, because you're just used to your day to day and you might not be aware of it at the time, just like you were back then. But maybe there's something. I don't know.
Yeah, there is. There is. I don't know how much I can get into detail about it.
Right. He's a trendsetter. He doesn't want to share all his knowledge there.
Well, I'm just.
I mean, there's some stuff. We got some stuff where we got basically what the whole thing is like with the pool and the spa and all that. Like basically, the actual pool itself is so quick, and the other stuff takes so long.
Oh yeah.
And it's the hardest to manage because it takes so long to do all the masonry. So we've got some tricks up my sleeve that to quickly do all the masonry structures at the same time, almost pretty much at the same time as a pool shell. So taking a process that takes 8 weeks, 10 weeks, 12 weeks, and then knocking it down to a few days. So yeah.
Is that GPS powered by any chance?
What's that?
Is that like based off of GPS by any chance? I'm just trying. In my head, I'm trying to figure this out. So I'm just trying to see how you can do that.
You're thinking like you're thinking like 3D printing?
No. I'm thinking more of laying it out so they can actually achieve their goal. But yeah, I don't know.
When I perfect it, when it hits the market, you'll know.
All right, perfect. Let us know.
Follow his Instagram.
Follow my Instagram.
Just wait to see when it comes.
I'll wait.
That's what the express. That's the express program you were talking about earlier.
Okay.
Yeah, because that express stuff. That's when we were testing it, and then we had say, "Hey, here's where you can get this for 200 grand or whatever." It was like a $450,000 backyard for like 200 grand because it's so quick.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we're working the bugs out. But the company's growing too, so it's like another rabbit hole I got to go down.
Okay.
So it might be a couple years. It's like but I'll let you know when we do another interview when I really finally get it all worked out.
Okay, perfect. Outdoor pizza oven. Is it useless? Is that upgrade?
No, I think okay. So if you're the type of person that likes to tinker, then I think it's an absolutely a win because the thing about the outdoor pizza ovens is it's sort of like a ritual, right? So you got to get your whole little teepee going or a little rack with the wood and you got to get that right. And then you get your kindling in there. And this involves, a 6-pack of beer at least too, by the way. Like,
oh yeah.
And it takes at least 2 people. So, cause the whole point is to sit there and, the 2 of you are sitting there kind of having a conversation and get this thing going and light it. And then you got to let the fire go on. That takes at least a beer to do that. So you got the fire kind of burning really good. And then you start shoving it down into the pizza oven around inside there and clearing a little path for the pizza. And then you got your laser out and you're seeing what the temperature of the fire is. And you know what I mean? It's a ritual. So once you get it up to, 900 degrees, then you've got this pizza and sometimes the kids get involved and they throw the toppings on there and that's fun for them. It's a whole to do,
Yeah.
And then you get the pizza, you slide it in there and you throw the dough in there, the flour in there. And then you throw the pizza oven in there and then you watch it go and then you can close the door and then you watch the temperature. Like it's a whole ritual, like I said. So,
yeah,
you know what I mean? Like yes, it makes amazing pizza, but if you're not into sitting there and doing this whole thing, then it's a waste of your money. I mean, they look cool.
They do. Good paperweight.
They look cool, you know. I mean, I guess, but I mean, it can be really fun for like your friends and your family to kind of go through the ritual of making a pizza. It's really, and the pizza comes out amazing. But it's not just pizza though. Like you can put like baked, you can put like scallops in there and sort of all kinds of casseroles and stuff that you can throw in there.
Cook cookies. I mean,
Yeah,
you can cook all kinds.
Yeah, cookies. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
So I think it's a win. What else you got?
Acrylic pool wall.
So I think the acrylic pool walls I think they're cool, but I wouldn't, it's not always the answer. So sometimes depending on the style, like the look of the pool, like if you're doing a very sort of traditional looking backyard with really nice stone and whitewash and like the opposite of modern, you know what I mean? Then you don't want to do an acrylic pool wall. It just, the stone is going to look nicer. But if you're doing a very modern pool, then the acrylic is a really cool feature because you're going to see the lighting effects in the bottom of the pool, especially if you have RGB lights and you've got a light colored pool bottom. That's another one of a mistake that people make is be careful with the pool color, the pool bottom color versus the lighting. Because if you have like a dark colored pool, you're going to need 3 times as many lights. You can do a light colored pool, then the light refracts them through the whole pool. So the acrylic is going to look nice if you have a colored pool. If you have colored pool lights, in a white bottom pool, yeah, the acrylic's great.
Oh yeah. We got motorized pergolas.
I hate those. I just hate those.
So useless.
I think they're pieces of crap. I haven't seen a good one yet that doesn't either malfunction or break or get stuck, and it just gets full of crap, and it's like dirty. It's hard to clean the thing.
That's funny because there's so many in California, and you're based in California. It's ironic.
I told my guys, I'm like, don't sell those things. If somebody really insists on it, like go sell it to them, and then just tell them how much you hate it. Yeah, I don't like them.
Okay, putting green.
Putting greens are cool, but it's really more so because of the turf is cool. Like unless you have like a really huge property, like a little area that
you don't have to mow.
If your putting green doubles as your green belt or whatever, then fine. But I wouldn't give up an area that was going to be. I wouldn't give up a sports court to put like a basketball court to put in a putting green, because a putting green you're going to get over it real quick. Because if you really golf, the putting green is not going to do anything for you.
It's true.
Yeah.
Cold plunge.
Cold plunge. I hate being cold, so I'm the wrong guy to ask. But if you're gonna, I think it's a no for me, because even if you like cold plunge, just buy a damn cold plunge. Because if you're gonna hire us to put in a cold plunge, like it's way more expensive to have a custom one made, and it's not. I mean, you're talking about a small thing. So for some of our clients that, just got so much scratch, they don't know what to do with it. Well, then fine. We incorporate it into the design, but put it in your whatever, put it somewhere and get yourself a steel cold plunge. It's way cheaper, looks cool. You could stick it anywhere. And then if you ever get over this thing, you just pull it out and get rid of it.
Yeah. The only time I see it is when it's for convenience, where you can just put it right next to the spa, and it's literally, you can just go from one to the other. That's the only time.
Yeah, but like I said, that's cool, but just buy one.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Have you ever seen a cold plunge by itself, like an in-ground cold plunge, no hot tub, just cold plunge? I've never seen that before. Okay.
That's a cold plunge without a hot tub or a pool, you mean? Or
like a
custom made one?
Yeah.
Well, an in-ground, like the high-end resorts, you'll see that.
Okay.
But there's a spa too. So
it's a resort too. Outdoor movie theater.
So I'm getting ready to do one at my house. We're both. It's going to take a year to get the permits, but so we've got a massive weeping wall, 40-foot weeping wall, and then a projector that's going to project images onto the waterfall. So that's a thumbs up for me. I think it's really cool to have. I like to entertain, have lots of people over, and if you've got some images playing, whether it's music videos or a movie that people like to watch or something.
So the weeping wall can go, and you can still see the picture of it's the quality of the video still gonna be good. Confused.
Well, I mean, it's not going to be like if you projected it onto a white movie screen, but it'll do the trick. I mean, for what you're trying to do, you know what I mean?
It's a cool
Like
concept.
if you have, trust me, if you've got the Super Bowl going, or like let's say you got a UFC fight going, and you've got a couple TVs outside,
Yeah.
and you also have a 40-foot waterfall, and it's hitting the. Because the thing is, I mean, it's still going to be cool, dude, even if it's not
Oh yeah.
perfect.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So are you going to use a smoother tile on that, or like an island stone with the?
No, the opposite. So the thing is with the okay, so turbulent water turns white,
Yes,
right?
exactly. Yeah.
Okay. So then, and white water refracts the light. So that's why if you've got a waterfall, even if the wall's black and the water's turning white because it's so bouncy, because it's bouncing all over the wall.
Yeah.
And then you hit that with a RGB light, the wall's gonna turn the color of the lights. It's gonna turn purple or blue or red or green or whatever. Right.
Mhm.
Exactly.
So that's the answer to your question. I mean, really, I think the 3D tile is the best.
Okay.
We don't ever do them with a flat tile. It's always a 3D tile.
I just wanted to get your take on it. That was my take. But anyway,
Mhm.
you've done a lot more water walls than me. So
Yeah, we always put a 3D tile on them. Yeah.
So swim up bar. How do you feel about that one?
I think they're cool, but people really screw those up more than they get them right. I mean, it's rare that you see one they did it right, you know?
Yeah.
So a lot of times, okay, so I'll give you an example. So how to do it right and how to do it wrong. So most of these things, what you see is like, you got the whole pool and everything, and like the way they would just do it. And then like a hole where you go down the stairs and then there's just like the bar there. You know what I mean? Sometimes there'll be like a refrigerator, maybe the barbecue's in there, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But it's just like, it just looks like a hole in the ground. So what we do is we'll like take a whole big area of the backyard and then countersink the backyard.
Okay.
So like you got a whole area that's sunken down, not just the little 10-foot, area that you're doing the sunken pit. It might be, 1,000 square feet or whatever that's like sunken down. And then the perimeter retaining wall is now, whatever, 30, what is that, 32 inches or whatever? It's like 32 inches, I think. So 4 steps down, boom, boom, boom. And now that whole area, there's even like a lawn and everything, and the whole thing's sunken down,
Mm-hmm.
doesn't give you the claustrophobic feel of you're in a little bitty tiny enclosed space.
So if you look at the Cabernet Falls, because it sounds like you guys have looked at a lot of my stuff. So then if you remember this project, okay, so there's a big curved patio cover like this. It's 25 foot. It looks like a wave.
Yeah, it's an awesome feature.
You remember that job?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
There's a guy in Australia that was the first time I saw that did that. But I saw yours. Yes, it's spectacular looking.
So that project, okay, where that wave is like that, then the outdoor kitchen's under it, and it's a big, giant, round outdoor kitchen. And then one side of the outdoor kitchen is up to the pool. And it looks like you're on grade and the pool is raised, right? So you got this big raised pool, and then there's a massive waterfall behind it, like a 50-foot waterfall behind it. And it's like 2 stories high. Remember? So if you remember that job, it appears like you're on grade and the pool's raised, but that's not what it is. It's actually from the house, you step down into the yard because we lowered the yard. So we lowered the yard. We lowered it 2 steps into the yard, and then, 4 steps. It's 3 steps into the yard, and then another 2 steps going into the sunken pit. Like it's like, but you can't tell. And because the barbecue is all on bar height, and then kitchen table height is the outside of the bar where people sit. But you know what I mean? It's kind of hidden. The steps are kind of hidden. They're kind of snuck in there. Like you don't really notice it that much, but it's all actually countersunk into the backyard.
You terrace a large area.
Yeah. I'm wondering now, how do you feel about sub pumps when you're doing drainage in these sunken areas like that?
I hate sub pumps.
Yeah, me too.
I hate
okay.
I think you should just use pool pumps. You know what I mean? Because I don't care what kind of a pump. You get a sump pump. I don't know. You buy a German sump pump. It's going to last a lot longer, but it's still going to get full of calcium.
Okay.
It's got air. Anything that's going to be in the air and the water and the air and the water and the air and the water is going to have trouble. Like you're going to have calcium build up. Yeah,
I like gravity. Gravity's nice too.
We do a lot of hillside work, and so we usually can get gravity to flow out of our sunken areas. So
I've
that's ideally what we try to do.
Ideally, I've heard nightmares from some customers, past experiences, but yeah, when a sub pump
You guys have
fails,
hillside? Or well, I'm sorry, what was that? I interrupted you.
So we'll do the sunken area will be on a hillside, so it may be so we're using the terracing of the hillside that we can get the water out of the sunken kitchen area or the sunken cabana or whatever. So anyway, that's
Yeah.
we're blessed with that changes in elevation that we can do that. And
So you guys have a lot of hillsides in Texas?
yes,
quite a bit, yeah.
that's one of the things I'm
my
known.
mind, it's all flat.
Yeah, well, I grew up in Lubbock, and that's what you're thinking of. But it's one of the things I'm known for is doing hillside projects. So, although we had a guy from Atlanta on here the other day, and he was talking about 45 feet in a backyard, and I was like, "That's a hillside." I'm usually
45 or more than that.
yeah. Anyway, so, but yes, we have some pretty good topography changes in some parts of the Dallas-Fort Worth area.
Usually towards the end, Jesse, we ask 4 questions. One, my dad he'll ask you the last one, but I'm curious what your favorite book, your favorite meal, and your favorite movie is, just to get to know you a little bit better.
Oh man. Jeez. Okay. My favorite book? Wow, what's my favorite book? I mean, you want like a fun, you mean like
I don't
fiction
know. It doesn't matter what pops into your head. Because I know favorites change, every other day. So for me,
yeah, but I'm gonna sound really boring though. I mean, I have a few different books that I like. It's hard to pick one. The Founder. Okay, so the McDonald's story.
Yeah.
So that one's so good. I've done that one like 3 times. And then what's the one that's written? Can I just say a couple? Do you mind if I just pick it? Okay, the book, the Sam Walton story, the Walmart story.
Right.
Like that one's amazing. I've done that one at least 2 or 3 times. I mean, there's a lot of books. I like Traction. I've read it like 5 times.
Yeah, we've had several people say that.
Yeah, that's decent. But anyway, lots of business books.
Okay.
Like I'm super into just like the people's stories and especially these big companies and how they became what they are and stuff. So a lot of those. And you said movie, or what'd you say?
Yeah, movie and the meal.
My favorite movie? Let's see. There's so many. I love, I mean, I don't want to say the obvious ones. Like everybody says like, Goodfellas and Godfather and stuff like that. I recently saw a movie called Poor Things that I was really impressed with. I think it's one of the best movies I've seen in a long time. And I was raised in the 80s and 90s, so I didn't think that people made real movies anymore. It's all just like
Oh, it's a new release? I haven't even heard of it.
Yeah, it's new and it's really, really good.
Interesting.
It's amazing. Yeah.
We'll have to go check it out.
Yeah.
What's the other one? Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Favorite meal?
My favorite meal, barbecue.
Oh yeah.
So, where do you travel that you enjoy, or it could be about inspiration? And I do remember you backpack too. So, we
do that.
Yeah.
That was the first time I reached out to you when you were backpacking last summer.
Oh yeah. So the Sierras are amazing. It just looks like it's like not even real. It looks like a fake. Like it's so amazing,
Yeah.
So I love that. But as far as inspiration for design, like just Europe, like France,
Okay.
Italy, like those places are just, I don't know. Like for example, Lake Como, right? So when I first went to Lake Como, I'm like, I don't get it. Like it's just a bunch of old. It's just old everywhere. Everything's old, And then, but I feel stupid saying that because after a day, like after 2 days there, I was just my point is, all of this, everything was old. Like there's no like fresh new takes on house, like a house, structural like architecture. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Oh.
So everything's old. So then I said, okay, like it's cool. I get it. I get that it's Italy, but where's the new new energy. You know what I mean? Like, where's that? So the thing about Lake Como that I hadn't realized until I was there for a while is that you can't build new stuff. They hate when you try to build new stuff. So when you take a closer look, some of the stuff is restored, but the point is to, even if you're going to restore something, to really, really try your best to make it look like it's been there forever.
Yeah.
So some of it is kind of restored, but don't be you got to be very careful not to really, really look restored, you know? Like you'll see like maybe they won't paint a house, instead they'll plaster it, but they'll really burn the plaster so that it looks very modeled. And then instead of like restoring the blinds, the wooden blinds, like they won't paint them, you'd have to like sand them and then like stain them, you know what I mean? Because then it has the richness of the old wood that's been there, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
So the plaster that, you know, it gets repaired, and they want the patches to look like patches, like it's been like repair patched, because it you know, where it's crumbling, you know what I mean? Like just clean the crumbled mark. Like it's just
authenticity of the space is still retained.
Yeah,
a
wealth of age.
Yeah.
It's like where there's war all over Europe, you know what I mean? So, and there's signs of war all over the place. So they're careful, like all the 50 caliber bullets that took out like some of the statues and stuff like at the churches. And they're just very careful, like which ones do you fix and which ones do you not? And if you're going to fix this, then careful not to make it look too fixed, I guess, you know?
Yeah.
So just the charm of like just Europe, like old world, like Europe, is super interesting to me. And that it affects my sort of like thinking. A lot of my clients want the super modern tricked out like stuff that we were known for.
Yeah.
And I think my personal taste has changed over the years, and we still do that stuff, but I've incorporated some of those features like fire cages and sunken pits and stuff like that into this more like, I guess, European, more sort of muted effect of, you know, using, you know, like a German schmeared stone, or, you know, like a whitewashed brick, or, you know, like incorporating more of the wood tones and the softer tones and the monotone plasters and stuff like that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, Lake Como's beautiful. I love it. It's like a whole different planet. Hopefully one day I can go there too. So,
highly recommend.
But thank you for coming on. I can't say that's enough. It's been amazing.
Yeah, I really
appreciate it.
Really appreciate your time. Do you? I'm just curious because I came from the landscape side. I've been involved in the pool industry for a long time, and I try to meet people and find people that I really respect their work, and that's why I reached out to you. Do you ever go to the pool show or any of those type of things?
You know what? It's not for any particular reason, but I just wind up like not having a chance to. Something always comes up. I've never been to one.
Yeah, I was trying anyway. There's a lot of people that are like that, and I know that they're very busy. You know, I know that some people they don't get the opportunity to do that. So anyway, but I was just curious if I just missed you, or if you actually did go to those type of things. But appreciate your time. I appreciate your knowledge, your creativity. Appreciate your stories, and hopefully we'll get to meet in person sometime and you know, share some more. So
sounds good. Yeah, you boys let me know if you ever come to Orange County.
We certainly will. So thanks again.
You have a good one.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.